What happens when love is tested by fists, lies, and silence? So, imagine this. You're 29, you move across the country to be with the love of your life, Rachel, 28. We've been together for 8 years, married for 4. Met in college, study group turned friendship, friendship turned love. You know how it goes. After college, I couldn't land a good job in Denver, so I packed up and moved to Austin, where Rachel had a solid offer. Only problem? I didn't know a soul here, except her. But hey, love, right? Well, then I met her mom, Linda. Now, I'm not exaggerating when I say she runs the family like a Fortune 500 CEO with a God complex. Her husband died when Rachel was 16. Linda took that insurance payout and flipped it into a real estate mini-empire. 3 rentals and her own house. Pretty impressive, I'll admit. But the power? It went straight to her head. She's got 2 other kids. Jake, 31, runs a mechanic shop Linda funded. Eric, 25, helps manage her properties. All of them orbit around her like she's the sun. Every decision, from Jake's wedding to Eric's car, went through Linda first. She even paid off Rachel's student loans. So yeah, I married into a family with a queen, and it wasn't my wife. At first, I tried to play nice. When we got engaged, Linda steamrolled the whole wedding. Booked the venue, picked the menu, sent out double the guest list we planned. Rachel told me, she's just good at this, trust her. I didn't love it, but hey, Rachel was happy. But you know that little voice in your head that whispers, this might be a bad idea? Yeah, I should have listened. Because it got worse. Linda started showing up at our apartment uninvited. Just popping in, folding laundry, rearranging cabinets. And when Rachel got promoted, Linda found us a duplex 4 blocks from her house. Paid the deposit, waived the first month's rent. Called it an early anniversary gift. I wanted to say no. I should have. But Rachel? She was glowing. So, we moved. That's when the nightmare began. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. Linda had a key. She'd let herself in. Every single day. I'd come home from work and find her sorting our mail, watering plants, tidying up. I told Rachel, this is a boundary issue. She told me, it's just her way of helping. We started trying for a baby, and somehow Linda found out. She started dropping pregnancy books on our coffee table and making passive comments about turning the guest room into a nursery. I lost it. Why does she know this? Why is she so involved? Rachel defended her. Said Linda was just excited to be a grandma. We had our first major fight that night. And then came the disaster. Jake's wedding anniversary party. Linda's house. Everyone would be there. Rachel begged me to come. I didn't want to, but I went. Big mistake. Linda made her usual snide comments. You look pale. Not eating enough greens? You should mix more with the guys. Classic Linda dig with a smile. Then, the ambush. Jake and Eric cornered me at the picnic table. Jake, we need to have a man-to-man. Eric, arms crossed. You've been real cold to Mom. That's not okay. I stared. This is between Rachel and me. Stay out of our marriage. Jake leaned in. Family comes first, man. You need to show respect or there'll be consequences. I stood. Did you just threaten me? Then bam, Jake shoved me. I stumbled back. Eric came at me. Fist flew. I ended up on the ground, blood in my mouth, shirt torn. 30 seconds of chaos before guests pulled them off me. Rachel? She ran to them first. Not me. Patricia, sorry. Linda barked at me to leave before I ruined her event. Rachel stayed. I drove home alone. Sat in silence. My ribs ached. My lip throbbed. Then I did the one thing nobody expected. I called the cops. The next day, Jake and Eric were arrested. Rachel came home and lost it. You called the police on my brothers? I looked her dead in the eyes and said, you said I married your family. You never said I was their punching bag. When Rachel walked in that night, her eyes were already full of fire. You actually called the police? She snapped, slamming her purse on the kitchen counter. On my brothers? I didn't even flinch. My ribs were screaming, and I had an ice pack taped to my side. I looked up from the couch. You mean the guys who jumped me? Yeah, I did. And I'd do it again. She blinked. It was a misunderstanding. They threw punches. That's not a misunderstanding, Rachel. That's assault. She paced, hands in her hair. Jake said you started it. Oh, of course he did. I stood, slow. You weren't even there, Rachel. You didn't ask what happened. You just believed them. Her voice dropped. I know my family. I nodded. And you think you know me. But you don't, not if you think I'd make this up. Silence. She stared, then said, Mom's lawyer is taking their case. She's freaking out. She's talking about selling the duplex. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Of course she is. Can't have her tenants pressing charges against her precious boys. Then she dropped the bomb. If you don't drop the charges by Friday, I want a divorce. Time froze. I stared at her like she'd just slapped me. And maybe in a way, she had. All this because your brothers couldn't keep their hands to themselves? No. Because you're tearing this family apart over a fight. No, Rachel. They tore it apart when they treated me like trash and thought they could get away with it. She didn't respond. Instead, she packed a bag and went to stay at her mom's house. That was a week ago. The fallout begins. In that week, I barely heard from her. She came by twice to grab clothes, didn't say more than a few words. Meanwhile, Linda's been blowing up her phone, demanding I do the right thing and think of the family. The family. The one that treats me like I'm some mooch who should kiss Linda's feet for letting us live in her duplex. Like I owe them something for every favor I never even asked for. So I decided to fight back. I took the photos of my injuries. I wrote out everything that happened. I filed a full police report. Jake and Eric were released on bail, but they've got court dates next month. And now Linda's calling me the threat. Rachel showed up yesterday. We finally talked. Well, argued. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. Said the whole family's a wreck. That I needed to end this. That what happened shouldn't destroy everything. You're right, I said quietly. But it already has. She sat down. No eye contact. They're my brothers. And I'm your husband, I said. Or I was. Then I gave her my answer. No, Rachel. I'm not dropping the charges. They're lucky I didn't press for more. She sniffled. They don't deserve criminal records. They should have thought of that before throwing fists at a family event. She looked at me like I was a stranger. And I realized in that moment, maybe I am. Maybe the man she married, the guy who quietly took her mom's comments, let her family dictate our life, that guy? He's gone. As she left, she said one last thing before slamming the door. Fine. Then you'll hear from my lawyer. And you know what? I smiled. Tell her to call mine first. By the time Rachel's lawyer called, I was already 10 steps ahead. I talked to my own guy, shout out to Marcus, my dad's longtime friend and a divorce attorney who doesn't play games. He's the kind of guy who walks into court with a calm smile and walks out with your ex's house, car, and dignity, legally, of course. So when Rachel's lawyer reached out, trying to negotiate, I didn't even flinch. Mr. Wells, the voice said, our client wants to avoid further conflict. Perhaps we can come to a mutual resolution. I almost laughed. Mutual? She gave me a drop the charges or we divorce ultimatum and sent her family to jump me at a party. Silence. Then the lawyer cleared his throat and said, she's willing to forego any claims to shared assets if you agree to dismiss the charges. Not happening, I said. Tell her I'm keeping the charges and every receipt. He didn't like that answer, but I didn't care. Here's the thing. I'm not out for revenge. I'm out for peace. And sometimes, peace means burning the bridge, salting the ground, and never looking back. I started going through everything, the duplex lease, the texts, even the emails from Linda treating me like some indentured servant. There it was. A message from Linda sent a few months ago. Since we let you two live there without deposit or first month's rent, I think it's only fair that you help fix up the gutters this weekend. Jake and Eric will be over to help. Be useful. Be useful. I printed it. Sent it to Marcus. He called me the next day and said, oh buddy, we're going scorched earth, huh? Only if they try to screw me, I said. But then I got curious. Was this duplex even under Rachel's name? Nope. It was fully in Linda's. And get this, she'd been claiming rental tax credits as if we were paying full market rent. My blood boiled. I sent all of it to Marcus. He grinned and said, we might even be able to get her investigated for tax fraud. You feel like making a phone call to the IRS? I wasn't sure if I wanted to go that far. But damn, it felt good to have options. Then came the bombshell. 2 days later, Rachel texted me. Rachel, we need to talk. I made a mistake. No greeting. No apology. Just, I made a mistake. She showed up an hour later, wearing one of those oversized sweaters she knew I used to love. Like we were still that couple who watched movies on rainy Sundays. I've been thinking, she started. I leaned back. Dangerous habit. I was wrong, she said softly. About that night. About you. That caught me off guard. I stayed quiet. She looked down. I shouldn't have let them get physical. I shouldn't have defended them. I panicked. You chose them over me, I said flatly. I didn't mean to. But you did. Silence. Then she said it. I don't want a divorce. My heart should have raced. It didn't. Why now? I asked. She didn't answer right away. But I knew. Her family was falling apart. Jake and Eric facing charges. Linda under pressure. The golden family image crumbling. And suddenly, the guy she walked out on? Not so disposable anymore. I looked her in the eye and said, Rachel, you chose them. I'm just choosing myself now. Her lip quivered. So, is this really the end? I stood, picked up my phone, and calmly replied, that depends. Are you here because you love me, or because your backup plan's falling apart? When Rachel showed up at my door again, 3 days after saying she didn't want a divorce, something in her eyes had shifted. She wasn't angry anymore. She looked small, defeated. She stood there, arms crossed over her chest like armor that wasn't holding up too well. The same oversized gray sweater. Same messy bun. But none of it softened the blow of what she'd done. I'm not here to fight, she said before I could even speak. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked in slow, like the air in the duplex felt unfamiliar now. Maybe it did. She hadn't been back since the night of the fight, the night her brothers jumped me in her mother's backyard while she was off laughing with her cousins. I watched her take it all in. The pictures of us were gone. Her books boxed up near the door. A folded blanket on the couch where I'd been sleeping the past few nights instead of our old bed. She finally turned to me. I didn't know it would go this far. I raised an eyebrow. No? You gave me an ultimatum, Rachel. Drop the charges or lose your marriage. That's pretty damn far. She looked down, nodded like she couldn't argue. I was scared, she said. Linda's been relentless. Every day it's calls, texts, guilt trips. She told me if I didn't convince you to back down, she'd cut me off completely. No more help. No more property. She even threatened to change her will. So, I asked. Rachel blinked. So what? So she threatened you with money. And you threw me to the wolves to protect your inheritance. She winced. It wasn't just that. It was the family. Jake and Eric said you were ruining everything. That you were always against us. I scoffed. Rachel, I was against them showing up at my house unannounced, digging into our personal life, and treating me like a damn employee. If that's being against your family, then yeah, guilty. She stayed quiet. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. My voice dropped. When they hit me, they didn't just cross a line. They made it crystal clear where I stood. And you didn't even ask if I was okay. You ran to them. I know, she whispered. That's why I'm here. I've been replaying everything. I should have defended you. I should have told them to back off a long time ago. But you didn't, I said. Not when it mattered. Silence again. She started walking toward me. Slowly. Cautiously. Like I might shatter if she got too close. I miss us. There's no us right now. Her voice cracked. Do you even love me anymore? I didn't answer right away. Because honestly, I wasn't sure. Part of me still saw the girl I fell for. The one who used to sneak me coffee before finals, who curled up on my chest during Sunday movies, who laughed like the world hadn't broken her yet. But now, all I could see was someone who stood there stone-faced, while I was on the ground being punched by her brothers. Someone who told me to choose between justice and her. I finally said, I love the woman who had my back. I don't know if that's still you. She swallowed hard. I want to be. I really do. Wanting isn't enough anymore. She looked down at her hands, fiddling with her fingers like a nervous kid. I went to see a therapist. I raised an eyebrow. Yeah. What of the court-mandated counselors that Linda wanted me to drag you to? Turns out, she's been manipulating all of us for years. The woman took notes for 15 minutes and then told me straight up, your mother has enmeshment issues. You've never been allowed to form boundaries. That actually surprised me. And you listened? I didn't have a choice, she said, a sad smile tugging at her lips. Everything was falling apart. Jake and Eric are facing real jail time. Linda's melting down. And me? I was sitting in that big, cold house realizing the only person who'd ever truly been in my corner was the one I walked out on. That had something deep, but I didn't show it. So what now? I asked. She stepped forward again. I want to fix this. And how do you plan to do that, Rachel? You think we can just go back to the way things were? Pretend none of this happened? No, she said quickly. I know we can't. But maybe we can start over. A real start. Just you and me. No duplex. No Linda. No strings. I looked at her for a long time. Then I pulled something out of the drawer beside me, the printed photo of me after the fight. My bruised eye. The cut lip. Torn shirt. I laid it on the table. Before we start over, I need to know you understand exactly what you let happen. She picked it up, hands trembling. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I was weak. I nodded. You were. But now you have a chance to prove otherwise. She looked up, confused. I'm not dropping the charges, I said. Not for you. Not for anyone. I know. And if your mom sells this place, I'm moving out. I already have a new lease lined up. I won't live in anything tied to her name. She nodded. And from now on, it's couples therapy. Weekly. Non-negotiable. And you cut contact with your mother for a month. No calls, no visits, nothing. Her eyes widened. A month. If you can't go 1 month without Linda controlling your life, then we're already done. She looked down at the photo again, then nodded. Okay. I didn't smile. Didn't celebrate. I just said, we'll see. As Rachel turned to leave, she paused at the door. If I stick to all of it, if I prove I'm serious, would you ever love me like before? I stared at her for a beat, and finally said, that depends on whether you become someone I can love again. She left, and I stood there, wondering if that was the end of a chapter, or just the start of another painful rewrite. 2 weeks passed. 2 full weeks of no texts, no calls, no unannounced visits. Rachel kept her word. Weekly therapy. A full digital detox from her mother. She even blocked Linda's number and left her on read when she showed up at her church group. That alone felt like a small miracle. But I wasn't celebrating yet, because I knew Linda. The silence? That wasn't peace. That was a storm loading. And sure enough, it hit. Hard. It started with a phone call. My manager at work waved me over after lunch with a weird look on his face. Hey man, he said. There's a woman here asking for you. Said she's your mother-in-law. I froze. Linda. He nodded. Real intense energy. Like, CEO of drama level. You want me to send her away? Part of me wanted to hide. But the other part? The part she pushed too far for too long? He was ready. I'll talk to her. He nodded, but added, be careful. She's the kind of woman who tries to run the place the second she walks in. He wasn't wrong. I stepped out to the lobby, and there she was. Linda in full battle armor. Perfect hair, oversized sunglasses, pearl necklace so tight it looked like it was choking her sense of decency. She turned when she saw me. Pulled the glasses down slow, like some mob boss looking over her domain. Logan, she said, like it hurt her mouth to say my name. I didn't respond. You've caused this family enough pain. I folded my arms. You raised 2 grown men who think fists solve problems. I'd say I'm the least of your issues. She took a step forward, voice dropping. You think you've won? You think dragging my sons through court, turning Rachel against me, is some kind of victory? No, I said, calm. But it's justice. And it's long overdue. She scoffed. Rachel is lost. You're feeding her delusions. This separation from her family? It's poison. You're isolating her. I actually laughed. Linda, you don't know what not controlling someone feels like. Rachel's just now breathing fresh air, and it terrifies you. You're manipulating her. I'm supporting her. For the first time, she's seeing the truth. About you. About all of this. Then she went cold. You think I'll let you keep her? She hissed. She's my daughter. Yeah, I said. But she's not your puppet anymore. Her jaw clenched. If you don't drop the charges against my sons, I swear to God. I stepped closer. Calm. Measured. You'll what? Linda? Threaten me at my job? In front of a security camera? You want me to add harassment and intimidation to the police report? She blinked. You really think you're untouchable, don't you? I added. Let me be clear. If you ever show up at my work again, I will press charges. If you try to contact me, or Rachel, or anyone close to us, that's grounds for a restraining order. She stared. Furious. Speechless. And then as she stormed out. That night, Rachel called. I heard what happened. From who? My therapist, she said. She warned me something like this might happen. Said when abusers lose control, they lash out. She's not wrong, I said. Rachel was quiet for a second. Then added, I don't want to be like her. You're not. But I was, she said. For years, I let her speak through me. I defended everything. I believed her version of events, even when it felt wrong. You're changing. She let out a shaky breath. Logan, I don't know if you'll ever trust me again, but I want to earn it. That was the first time she didn't say fix us. Just earn it. That mattered. And just when things seemed to settle, Eric broke. Rachel texted me late that night. Rachel, Eric called. He wants to meet. Says he wants to apologize. Just you and him. I stared at that message for a long time. Eric, the youngest. The one who looked uncomfortable even when he threw a punch. The one who followed Jake like a lost dog. He was cracking. I texted back. Me? Let's see if he means it. I met Eric in a quiet diner on the east side of town. He was already sitting when I got there. Hoodie. Baseball cap pulled low. Hands shaking. He looked up at me like I was his final confession. You don't understand, man, he said. You think Linda controls Rachel? She controls all of us. But I'm done. I leaned forward. Then prove it. That diner was quiet in the late evening, a half-empty place that smelled like old coffee and burnt toast. The kind of spot no one notices, which was exactly what Eric wanted. He was already sitting when I got there, his hood up like he thought someone might recognize him and drag him back to the family nest. I didn't say anything right away. Just sat down across from him and looked him dead in the eyes. He looked wrecked. "I didn't come here to make excuses," he said, voice low, eyes darting around like the walls might grow ears. "I came because I can't live with it anymore." I raised an eyebrow. "Live with what exactly?" He sighed, rubbed his face like he hadn't slept in days. "You think it was just a heat of the moment thing, right? The fight." I nodded slowly. "Jake planned it." That stopped me cold. "What?" Eric nodded, eyes glassy. "That day, before the party, he told me, if Logan shows up, we confront him. No more warnings. He needs to understand who's in charge." I sat back. Let that settle in. He wasn't confessing to a fight. He was confessing to a setup. "He said we couldn't let you turn Rachel against the family," Eric went on. "Said you were poisoning her, making her think Mom was the problem. And you went along with it," I said, my voice tight. "Yeah," he said. "Because I'm a coward. Because for 25 years, Linda's told me what to wear, what to say, where to go, who to date, and I let it happen." I stared at him, waiting. "But that night, after they pulled us off you, after I saw Rachel crying, not for you, not for Jake, but for the whole show, that's when I knew. We weren't a family. We were a cult with matching last names." He leaned in now, both hands flat on the table. "You press charges against me, I'll take it. I deserve it. But if you want real justice, go after Jake." He let it. He told Mom what happened, twisted it all. Got her spinning up lawyers and threats. "And Rachel?" I asked. "She was never part of it," he said. "Not the plan. She just believed what she always believes, that Mom's word is law." I took a deep breath. The pieces were clicking. "So why now?" I asked. "Why tell me all this now?" He looked at me with something almost like shame. "Because I want out." That hit harder than I expected. Out. Of the family. The way it works. The control. The lies. I've started packing. I'm moving in with a friend out in San Marcos. I just needed to tell someone the truth before I go. I didn't say anything. What could I say? That night, I called Rachel. Told her everything Eric had said. She didn't speak for a full minute. Then she whispered, "I always thought Jake was the protector. That he'd defend me. But he orchestrated this." I stayed silent. Let her sit in it. "I need to talk to him," she said. "No," I replied. "You need to confront him. There's a difference." The next day, Rachel did just that. Jake was still living in one of Linda's properties, a cozy craftsman house 2 blocks from her own. Rachel asked me not to come with her, and I respected that. But she recorded the whole thing. I watched the video that night. It started calm. Her voice even, firm. Jake smirking like none of it mattered. "You set him up," she said. Jake shrugged. "He deserved it." That sentence flipped something in her. Her voice cracked once, but she didn't back down. "You hurt someone I love. You used Eric. You lied to Mom. You used me." Jake's smile faded. "I'm done," she said. "Done with your toxicity. With hers. If you ever come near Logan again, if you ever try to manipulate me again, I swear to God I will burn every bridge and light the ashes myself." And then as she walked away. Meanwhile, Linda was unraveling. A week after Rachel's confrontation, Linda was served with an official warning regarding her behavior at my workplace, a prelude to an actual restraining order if she tried again. Then came the call from a local journalist, someone who'd heard about the police report, the assault, the real estate tangles, the whispered tax issues tied to that gifted duplex. Apparently, someone tipped them off. I'm not saying it was Eric, but let's just say timing's funny sometimes. 2 days later, I got a letter. From Linda. Not an email. Not a text. A handwritten, old-school letter. 3 pages. Front and back. Rambling nonsense about betrayal, disrespect, how we were supposed to be a family. I didn't read past the first page. I mailed it back. Unopened. With a note attached. Return to sender. No longer at this address, emotionally or otherwise. Rachel and I aren't magically fixed. We're working through therapy. Slowly. 1 session at a time. Some days are hard. Some nights we still sleep apart. But we're honest now. Brutally so. And that might be the only thing that ever saves us. Eric left town. Sent me a message last week that he started a new job. Feels weird being free, he wrote. But damn, it feels good. And Jake? He's still Jake. But now he's facing full charges, without his little brother to hide behind. As for Linda? The last I heard, she's trying to rent out the duplex again. But good luck with that. No one wants to live in a house built on control, manipulation, and lies. It had been quiet for a while. Too quiet. We'd fallen into a routine, not quite lovers, not quite strangers. Roommates with a shared past and a pile of emotional debris between us. We still went to therapy, still cooked dinner side by side, sometimes even laughed again. But something in Rachel's eyes, it didn't settle. Like she was still holding her breath, still hiding something. I thought maybe it was trauma, guilt, fear of the future. But it was none of that. It was a secret, one I never saw coming. It happened on a Thursday. She came home late from therapy. I was in the kitchen, halfway through reheating leftovers. She walked in, dropped her purse, and just stood there. Quiet. That look again. "Logan," she said. "Can we talk?" My stomach tensed. Always. She sat, didn't touch the food, just stared down at her hands. "There's something I've been holding back," she said. "Something I should have told you months ago." I didn't breathe. Then she looked up. "I missed my period 3 weeks before the party." I froze. She continued. "I thought it was stress. But then I took a test." A pause. A silence so thick it roared. I was pregnant. My head spun. I sat down slowly. "Were?" She nodded. "I lost it. A week after you pressed charges. I didn't tell you. I didn't know how. I didn't even let myself process it." Jesus. Tears filled her eyes. And I kept wondering, would it have made a difference? Would you have stayed with me out of duty if I told you? I didn't answer. I didn't know the answer. She wiped her cheeks and added, "I wasn't ready to be a mother. Not then. Not while choosing between you and the chaos I grew up in." That hit deep. Because I knew she was right. We were barely surviving as a couple. Adding a child to that storm would have drowned us both. Then came the harder question. She looked up again, voice shaking. "But what if I still want a family someday? With you?" I stared at her. This woman, who had shattered me, broken every trust, but also stood up to her toxic family, clawed her way out of the fog, and showed up for every therapy session even when she didn't want to. I didn't know. Because part of me still loved her. But part of me didn't know how to forgive. Not completely. Final reflection. We sat there for a long time, just breathing in the same broken silence we'd created. There was no dramatic hug. No kiss. No swelling music. Just two people sitting in the middle of wreckage, wondering if they could rebuild anything worth living in. And maybe that's the real ending. Not neat. Not perfect. But honest. And in a world full of fake apologies and fake families, maybe honesty is the most radical thing we have left. Thank you for sticking with this story. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Can trust ever be rebuilt? Can love survive betrayal when truth comes too late? Let me know in the comments. I'll be reading. And if you've ever had to walk away from someone you still loved, you're not alone. Sometimes the hardest part isn't the goodbye. It's choosing to stay when you don't know if healing is even possible.